Come closer. Don't stand too far away, because this is not just any story. This is the story of power, of fear, and of a prophecy that refused to be broken. A story where a grandfather did everything he could to escape his fate, but still met it in the end. Long, long ago in ancient Ireland, there arose a great conflict for control of the land. Two powerful tribes stood against each other. On one side were the Tuatha De Danaan, a gifted and noble people known for their wisdom, magic, and skill. Their king, Nuada, ruled with fairness and honor. At his court in Tara, there was always music, laughter, feasting, and peace. But beyond the shores of Ireland, danger waited. Their enemies, the Fomorians, were fierce sea raiders, cruel, relentless, and feared by all. And among them stood their most terrifying leader, Balor of the Evil Eye. Balor had not always been so feared. When he was just a boy, curiosity led him to a place he should never have gone. He heard strange chantings coming from a house where powerful magicians gathered to cast spells. Drawn in, he climbed up to a high window and peered inside. But the room was so thick with smoke and strange fumes. Suddenly, the chants grew louder, and then, puff, a powerful burst of poisonous magic rose into the air and struck him directly in the face. Balor fell to the ground in agony. When he finally rose, one of his eyes was destroyed, but not empty. It had become something far worse. That eye now carried the power of death itself. Whenever it opened, anyone it looked upon would fall dead instantly. As he grew older, the eyelid became so heavy that it could no longer be lifted by his own strength. An iron ring was driven through it, and ropes were tied so that 10 men were needed just to raise it. And when they did, entire armies could fall in a single glance. Despite all his power, Balor lived with fear. A prophecy had been spoken that he would one day be killed by his own grandson. Balor would not allow such a thing to happen. He had only one child, his daughter, Aithling. So he built a great tower and locked her away inside. She was guarded day and night by 12 women. No man was ever allowed near her. No man's name was even to be spoken. Balor believed he had defeated fate. Aithling grew into a beautiful young woman. She was cared for, protected, and even treated kindly, but she was alone. Day after day, she gazed out towards the sea, longing for something she could not explain. And often she dreamed. In her dreams, a man appeared to her again and again. She did not know his name, but her heart recognized him. Far away, a man named Cian of Tuatha De Danaan had his own reason to hate Balor. Balor had stolen a magic cow from him, a creature that never ran dry. Determined to reclaim what was his, Cian sought help from a druid woman named Bearog. Through magic, Bearog disguised Cian as a woman and summoned a mighty wind that carried them across the sea all the way to Balor's island. They reached the tower. Through clever words, they were allowed inside. Once within, Bearog cast a spell that sent all the guards into a deep sleep, all except Aithling. Cian climbed to the tower, and there at the top, he found her. Aithling turned and saw him. And in that moment, she knew this was the man from her dreams. They did not need time. They did not need explanation. They belonged to each other. And in that lonely tower, they fell in love. But their time together was short. Bearog, afraid of Balor's wrath, carried Cian away again by magic. Aithling was left alone once more. She was no longer empty. She carried within her a child. In time, she gave birth to a son. She named him Lugh. When Balor heard the news, fear turned into fury. Without hesitation, he ordered that the child be taken, wrapped in a cloth, and thrown into the sea. The helpless infant was cast into the waves, but fate had not finished its work. Birog saw what had happened. She swept down, lifted the child from the water, and carried him to safety. Lugh was raised far from danger, and as he grew, he became extraordinary. He learned everything: the art of war, the crafting of weapons, music and poetry, healing and magic. There was no skill he could not master, and when the time came, he made his way to Tara, the court of King Nuada. At the gates, he was challenged. No one enters until they possess a special skill, the guard told him. Lugh replied, "Ask your king if there is anyone in his court who possesses all skills. If there is, I will leave." They tested him. In every contest he won. There was no equal. And so he was welcomed into the court. There, before all, he declared, "I am Lugh of the Long Arm, son of Cian and Ethelyn, grandson of Balor." Soon after, the Fomorians arrived again, demanding tribute. This time, Lugh refused to bow. He struck them down and sent survivors back with a message: war was coming. And Balor, enraged, gathered his army. The two armies met on the plain of Moytura. The clash was fierce. Magic filled the air. Weapons clashed like thunder. The ground ran with blood. Even the goddess Morrigo appeared in the form of a crow, promising victory. Still, the battle raged on. In the chaos, Balor struck. With one terrible blow, he killed King Nuada. A cry of despair rose from the Tuatha De Danaan. Hope was lost. Then Lugh stepped forward. He faced his grandfather. Balor roared, "Lift my eyelids." 10 men pulled it open. Death spilled forth. Men collapsed instantly, but Lugh did not move. He stood his ground, calm, focused. He placed a stone in his sling, took aim, and released it. The stone struck Balor's eye with unstoppable force, driving it back into his skull. Balor fell, dead, and the prophecy was fulfilled. With their leader gone, the Fomorians fled, driven back into the sea, never to return. An island was free. And so, no matter how far Balor ran, no matter what he did, he could not escape what was written. But tell me, do you think destiny can ever be avoided? Or does it always find its way no matter what we do? Leave us a comment. We'd love to read them. Please don't forget to subscribe for more intriguing folklore and mythology stories. Like the video and share. See you in our next one. Bye.